welcome to Microfiche Microphone. I'm Micah, and on this channel we look at microfiche from the past, old newspaper articles in the public domain. We look at them with our modern eyes, our modern perspective, and see what we can learn from them. On this microfiche time capsule, I'm looking at the Ladies' Home Journal from January 1901, and this one is called A Southern Farmhouse to Cost $3,000. Apparently a $3,000 house back in those days was mid-priced. I can only be jealous because today it costs so very much more. Although I can't be too jealous because my personal job that I have that makes my living doesn't exist back then. So, I guess I should be grateful for what I have. But I thought it would be fun to see what was possible then and have us all be a little jealous of the housing market back in the day. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look. There are two types of domestic architecture in vogue in warm climates. The one depending upon thick walls with small windows to keep out the heat, the other shaded by wide eaves and open to every breeze. The veranda, gallery, or loggia is a feature of each. For health, comfort, and economy of construction, the latter is to be preferred. The design given upon this page is intended to suit the climate of the Gulf states in Southern California, and follows the common custom of those regions in dispensing with a cellar. Upon a hill or knoll where the ground is very dry, the supporting piers need not be more than a foot above ground. The plan explains itself. No provision has been made for the housing of servants. They are supposed to have their own separate cottages. Did they still have servants back then? Because that's not really a thing now. Interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and show the drawings. Like this is, looks like just a one-story room, but 4 bedrooms with a very large living and dining room with a separate passage to the kitchen and pantry being like separate from the house. That's interesting. A library and office, and then a very large veranda all around the house. And the kitchen, pantry, porch, and apparently there are little cottages for the servants, if that's a thing. Okay, I'm going to have to look it up. How much was their money worth? Yeah? I think I've used this before. Inflation calculator. $100 in 1901 is worth $3,506.02 today. So $3,000 is $105,180.71 today. See, if you could buy a house for $105,000, I think everyone would own one. I'm not kidding. Like this is a nice house. 4-bedroom house. It looks like they only have 1 bathroom though, and a storeroom with a large living room and dining room, a library and office separate, with a passage to the kitchen, porch, and pantry. If we could afford a house this size for $105,000 today, everyone would own a house. Like, it's crazy how much more houses cost. Because I'm guessing, like, I don't know. It depends also on your area. Like, it's very dependent upon your area. But I would not expect to be able to buy this house for less than $500,000 today. And that's not remotely exaggerating. In fact, I think that's a low ball, estimate. I'm guessing it's probably more. So, what's your estimate? Write it in the comments below. This is big. This is big. For $105,000, like that, it's blowing my mind. The housing market. Inflation, it's just ridiculous. Okay, moving on. The isolation of the kitchen is desirable in southern houses, as the bridge between the kitchen and the dining end of the living room in this house is also the pantry little extra labor is involved in service. Okay, they needed a comma there. And the living room in this house is also the pantry. Little extra labor is involved in the service. That would actually be better if it were 2 sentences. It's okay. The lofty living room with its upper row of windows open serves as a sort of ventilator for the whole house. In the wet and chilly season, the great brick chimney with its fireplaces will come into welcome use. And if need be, a large stove can be set up in the storeroom off the hall to temper the air in the bedrooms. Interesting. Right, because they didn't have central air. Of course they didn't. Oh man, that must have been miserable in the winter. Ugh. Wow. So they had to kind of think of that when they were designing a house. Like, where would we put the heating? Yeah, so they had their big fireplaces like in a semi-central like area. But it's in this design, it's far enough away from the bedrooms that it wouldn't heat them. Yeah. At the very most, the ones closest to the living room, but probably not. And then the kitchen wouldn't have anything at all because I guess the oven would heat it enough. Wow. I didn't think of that. Did not think of that. So I guess the extra expense is worth it, right? Because we have central heating and running water. All right. And if need be, a large stove can be set up in the storeroom off the hall to temper the air in the bedrooms. Okay. If the house stands fronting the north so as to admit sunshine to every room, there will be few days when the above simple provisions for heat will not prove sufficient. With a plan reversed, the frontage may be south. Yeah, okay. In building an ordinary balloon stud frame resting on brick piers and pine girders is covered with sheathing, quilt, and patent sheathing lath, triple coating with lime and cement plaster. Okay, that just means nothing to me, so I'll just keep going. Roofs are shingled and eaves are finished without gutters. If gutters are used, they should be hung from eaves not formed on the roof. The floors are double and finished in yellow pine throughout except in the kitchen. Nearly all the windows are French windows or casements, giving the full opening for ventilation, and throwing both living and sleeping apartments directly open upon verandas and galleries for the fullest enjoyment of a genial climate. The upper sashes of the living room slide up in pockets. The interior finishes of yellow pine, cypress, gum, or redwood stained may be used, except in the kitchen and bathroom, where paint is used. The walls and ceilings are plastered with a rough sand finish and calcimined. If preferred, they may be stained. The living room is wainscoted, as shown with battened boards, in which a certain percentage of tight knots, if not too large, is quite allowable. The strips above strengthen the frame, give a strong horizontal texture to the wall, and tend to reduce its apparent height, at the same time giving unity to the design. With strong, rich color on the walls, a dull red harmonizing with the brick in the fireplace, and a pale, dull yellow-green on the ceiling. Yuck! Ew! Which follows the rafters. The room has an unusually inviting and restful effect in spite of its great height. The light, airy ceiling is full of reflected light from the upper windows, which are filled with lead opalescent glass in simple patterns. That's very pretty. It's very expensive. The spaces between the wooden bands are decorated with a stenciled pattern border. If preferred, a simple painted line may be substituted. This method of decoration gives the wall's surface a richness and interest, which is quite satisfactory. In the bedrooms, wide sliding doors are provided to save space and give free circulation of air at night without any danger of slamming. Portable screens open at the bottom may be used to ensure privacy and late sleepers, if there be any such on farm, branch, or plantation. As in the preceding designs, the clothes closets with their folding doors are readily thrown open to practically their entire width for direct and well-lighted access to any garment. The old-fashioned deep closets, unless provided with windows, are never thoroughly aired nor lighted. Moths delight in them. In each of these closets there is set, parallel to the wall, and just under the shelf, a stout wooden curtain pole from which a dozen or more coat, trousers, or skirt hangers may be suspended and slide aside when desired. In the kitchen, a small water motor actuated by pressure from the windmill tank may be used to pump ammonia brine through the coils of pipe in the refrigerator, thus giving cold storage without ice. The serving pantry has long counters and china cases above, with glazed doors sliding on ball bearings. Swinging doors would be in the way. The plumbing in the kitchen and bathrooms is first class, the latter being supplied with hot water through an instantaneous gas heater set between the tub and laboratory. A small range boiler furnishes hot water in the kitchen. You don't. I'm slightly surprised by this last part because I personally don't think about all of the conveniences we have today as being so very difficult. Like they had to describe to you how to refrigerate your things because refrigerators didn't really exist. Like they were ice boxes. You had to go and get ice to put in them to keep your things cold. And then as soon as the ice melted too much, you had to get more. So there had to be somewhere that ice was kept that was cold enough to make it practical to have all year round. And that was a challenge in and of itself. So, I mean, you think of like the movie Frozen, where the man sells ice for a living. So winter is busy because they are too busy gathering the ice, but they don't sell much that during that time because they don't need it. Yeah, they need it in the summer when it's not cold, when it's hot, and it's a very important thing that they do is to sell ice to keep people's food cold, so that it didn't spoil. Yeah. Thinking of things like that, and how do you get hot water? And apparently they heated on the stove in the kitchen, and in the bathroom they had like a gas heater set between the tub and lavatory. And I heard that these were very, very bad sources of carbon monoxide, so they had to be very cautious. Anyways, that's interesting. Very, very interesting to me. Like the things that they lived without. And they said that the deep closets weren't practical because they couldn't get enough light. And today that's not a problem. So you put a light in, It's not that big a deal, but back then it was. Not most houses did not have electricity. Even though it did exist then, so I'm surprised that it wasn't something that was like semi-normalized, but I guess it wasn't yet. The cost is itemized according to contractor's estimate as follows. Excavation and masonry, including fireplaces with common brick, at $10 per meter, $160, which is, in today's money, $5,609.64. Carpentry, $2,170. So that's the most of the money is spent on that. I think that is the building of the actual house, yeah? $76,080 today, yeah? All right. Plastering, inside and out, $305. $10,693. Yeah, at least. Okay, painting and staining, $90. $3,100, yeah, maybe. Sheet metal work, no gutters, $25. Okay, that's very low. $876. Finished hardware, $75. $2,629. And plumbing, $190. There's no way it was that low today. $6,661. Yeah, which makes them a total of $3,015. Which is $105,706.61. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way you could build a house for that little. I just don't see it happening. Calcimining, painting of interior plastering, and system of drainage and sewage disposal are not included in the above given estimate. Okay. Allowances are made for the average cost of the materials in the southern states, lumber being cheaper and brick dearer than in the central states. Good plumbing is also more expensive. Piers of cement, concrete, or of rubble stone would undoubtedly be cheaper in some localities than brick. Wooden posts should under no circumstances be used to support a house of this character, as none of the ordinary available expedients for preventing rot can make them as lasting as the superstructure. Interesting. I found that very interesting. There were some technical things I wasn't really paying attention to because I'm not in that field and I'm not as aware of what, things are available, what materials are available. This is really interesting. I'm kind of slightly blown away by this. So this view we're looking at of the house that they designed is showing like the office part because that was like a rotunda kind of a design with the kitchen wing on the side, like separate from the house. I wonder why they did that. Why did they put the kitchen separate from the house? If you know, write it in the comments below. But why would you want your kitchen to be separate from your house? Were there that many accidents in the kitchen that made it highly probable it would burn down, and you didn't want the whole house to burn down? I mean, is that why? It's just an idea, but like, I personally would not really want my kitchen to be separate from the house, because that would be really annoying. You know, I'm going to go in and out and in and out. Although they did also mention servants, so maybe they had a cook. And then they, you know, they didn't have to look at their cook, because, you know, servants aren't normal people. I'm exaggerating. That was not my actual opinion. Okay, that's a joke. Because to be perfectly honest, if I lived back in the day when people had servants, I would probably be someone's servant. So let's just be honest here. But I found that very fascinating. I hope you did too. It's a very nice house. I am shocked at how little it cost. Absolutely shocked. Like, floored. I honestly do not think this design of a house is practical for anything less than $500,000. Today, I do not think it is. I could be wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? It's very, very dependent upon your area, and I mean, this is not including land. I think it's the cost of building the house. So you're assuming that you already own the land. But even then, I don't think you could build a house for $105,000 today. I don't think it's possible, especially not a 4-bedroom house with separate, like, kitchen. But on the plus side, we also have electricity, running water, hot water, and central heating today, so I guess I shouldn't complain. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this Microfiche time capsule, little look into the past and what was possible then and what is possible now. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you on the next video.